Hi, I'm Greg Dell, joined by attorney Frank Darras, and today we're going to talk about why long-term disability insurance claims get denied. Frank, it's awesome to have you here in the studio today, and it's a real pleasure and opportunity to have this conversation with you, especially with all the years of experience and knowledge. I can't think of anyone who has more knowledge than you in the disability insurance world, and for all of our subscribers and people who watch these videos, they love this information, and hopefully they'll learn some things from this video that will put them in a position where they can avoid getting denied. So let's get right to it. What's the first thing that comes to your mind about why a person's long-term disability claim gets denied?
I think the thing that's most troublesome for me is fatal claim mistakes that a claimant will make that are correctable, but by the time we get the case to be able to see whether we can help, they're fatal. So oftentimes an insured will follow an insurance company's advice by just doing a one-line appeal. I appeal your wrongful denial, not understanding that they've got to put their best foot forward, usually with the help of counsel, to be able to put the right medical records, the right vocational information. If there's financial issues, that we take care of those. And probably the main thing is that we don't miss the deadlines. The deadlines are tricky. The insurance language is not designed to help the insured, and those fatal claim mistakes are usually uncorrectable. So we like to get in early to be able to see if we can help.
All right, so when a person ends up with this, claim denial, and you usually get a denial letter, what is the number one common reason that you see as to why that person was denied?
For me, I look at the top 8. And sometimes we'll see a pre-existing condition. So have you been treated? Have you gotten care? Should you have been treated during the 24, 12, or 9 months in front of the policy? Pre-X is the off-ramp to a clean denial for the insurance company. If you've been pre-X'd or you've got a pre-existing condition, those things are difficult. And there are nuances to be able to beat a pre-X. You can beat it. You've just got to make sure you do it the right way. So pre-X, number one.
All right, break that down though in terms of, because you're using terminology of a pre-X that a lot of people don't know what that means.
Sure.
So where does this policy have a definition of what a pre-existing condition is, and what should someone be looking for to be aware of even what a pre-X is?
Sure. So 2 ways. First, we'll see somebody that's going to apply to a different company, to go to work for a different company. And we always suggest get a copy, an exemplar, an example of what the policy is going to entail for disability, so that we can make sure that you're not going to fall into a pre-existing condition. Pre-existing condition is the off-ramp for the insurance company if you've been treated, if you've gotten medicated, if you had a prescription but you didn't fill it, and if it occurred during a certain time frame. Great policies have a short pre-X, 90 days. So if you got treated, medicated, seen, or you should have been treated, a reasonable person would have gone and got care and treatment during that 90 days, you wouldn't be able to file a claim, usually for 24 months after the policy's in effect. So a pre-existing condition is something that we look at very, very carefully, and it's the first way an insurance company gets out of paying a legitimate disability claim.
And I know we've had a lot of claims where people call, and one of the questions and they're looking to apply, and you'll say, well, how long have you been with your employer? And
Right.
if they say less than 12 months, especially with group disability coverage, that's always a red flag for me to be able to say, well, hold on a second, you can't do anything. You got to be working at least for 12 months. And it can be, and unfortunately, we've had claims where it's 364 days since they got coverage. They file that claim on day 364. Had they gone to 365 and an hour or whatever it is, day
Right.
366, they'd be covered. But because they went to day 364, they fell into that pre-existing exclusion, and they're not entitled to coverage. So it's a very strict thing, and a great point that you brought up. So that's a technical defense that the insurance company is going to bring up, and it is what it is. It can be overcome. Difficult. But what is the second most common thing that you see as the basis of a denial letter in the thousands of denial letters that you've reviewed?
Sure. Most of the time, I'll look at job versus occupation. Another little nuance where you work for a company and you've got that co-employee that's really difficult. They're harassing you, they make it difficult for you to work, and you think, because you've got a disability policy and that harassment has caused mental nervous problems for you, psychological issues, that you should be able to collect on the claim. You should. Unfortunately, the job versus occupation, your insurance company will say, well, gee, Greg, go across the street and work for XYZ company, and you won't have that jerk co-employee or that boss that's so difficult for you to suggest that just a change of environment. The best example I can give you is I had a jailer, and he had a tic, and he would say things in his tic, and the inmates would make fun of him. The insurance company said, well, just go across town. You can work for a state facility. Well, his tic didn't change, and the harassment that he got by the prisoners there was the same as he got before. So job versus occupation is probably my number 2, other than activities inconsistent with a disability.
All right, so then that will take us right into number 3, which would be explain how these activities inconsistent with a disability come up.
Sure. So I've been married a long time, and I learned early on, you never say always or never to your spouse.
Right.
And oftentimes I'll see insured say, I never drive, I never lift, I don't bend, I don't stoop, I don't push, pull, carry. And what does the insurance company do? They hire the paparazzi, they'll get videotapers that will stake out your house. They know that once you step out your front door, that's public viewing. You've got no expectation of privacy there. And they'll follow you to Costco. Well, these disability policies, Greg, don't come with a chauffeur. They don't come with a personal shopper. So I tell my people, look, be careful. Once you get outside your door, be careful how you bend, lift, stoop, push, pull, carry. Or there's have-tos. You've got to eat. You need groceries. Get help at the grocery store. Don't be hulking your bags in and carrying big 5 or 10 or 15 pound things at Costco. We all need a case of beer, but be careful how you load it. So activities inconsistent. Don't say always or never, and make sure that when you go outside, you don't have an expectation of privacy. If you have a cane, use the cane. If you've got a slow gait, make sure you have a slow gait getting in and out of your car, especially when you're going to the doctor. Oftentimes they'll tell my insured, when's your next doctor appointment? And people are surprised that day they got the videotape. Well, the insured said, I'm going to the doctor on April 15th. Right. So they're out there, and you're not going to see them because they use 2 cars, and they generally are very cagey about how they see you and videotape you. Go to the gym, make sure you have a trainer. Let the trainer load the weights. They'll put a bag down at the gym, and the gym bag will have a camera. Right. So be careful. Those are things where activities inconsistent can really nuke a claim.
So I'm going to pitch you one along those lines,
okay.
Because with the inconsistent activities of a claimant is also, I always tell claimants, don't exaggerate, right? Don't exaggerate your symptoms. And the question is, where do these things come up? They come up on claim forms, which every claimant's required to submit either monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually, or they come up in medical records. And a claimant, again, wants to say something to make it look worse than they really are, and then they get caught differently on video or some other form that comes out there in the public domain. But as another reason for denial, talk about the importance of medical support in the records and
Sure.
where that falls on your list of why claims are denied.
I look at 3 things when it comes to the proof. Number 1, what are your physical problems? What are the things that cause you difficulty? Is it bending, lifting, stooping, pushing, pulling, carrying? Is it too much sitting? Is it too much standing? What if you could alternate sit, stand, and still be able to do your work? So I look at the physical. Second, the mental. There's obviously demands, cognitive demands. Can we have sustained attention? Can we focus and concentrate? Can we stay on task? Can we executive function? Can we process over a repeated period of time in a high demand cognitive occupation? So I look at physical, I look at mental, I look at the cognitive, And I tell my people, if you're going to go to the doctor, make sure the doctor understands what your problems are. Use a top 10 list. Why? Because when you go to the doctor, oftentimes, I don't know about you, but you might feel rushed. You know, he's got 7 or she's got 8 minutes to be able to see you. They got another patient right behind you. How are you going to relate to him? Your physical problems, all the things you're having difficulty with, your mental problems in terms of cognitive difficulties. What about sleep disruption? Does it take you a long time to get to sleep? Do you have a problem staying asleep? And what about when you wake up in the morning, you're like, wow, I don't feel refreshed from my sleep. So I tell my people, when you go to the doctor, bring a top 10 list. These are the things that I have problems with. The frequency of the problem, the intensity of the problem, and the severity of the problem. That gives our physician an opportunity at the end of the day. Remember, Greg, they're seeing 40 and 50 patients a day. How are you going to stand out at the end of the day as they're doing their chart notes and trying to fill out an attending physician statement? Oh, look at this. Here's Greg Dell. I've got his top 10 list. I remember him. He had that problem sitting. Great. Now we've got full and complete contemporaneous medical records that chart the physical, emotional, and mental problems.
And we talk about how important it is. It's one thing to bring your information to the doctor, but telling the doctor, doc, this has to go into the medical record. Either possibly attach what I'm giving you, although now we have these digital records, so that's not that realistic, but can you read in to the record these particular problems I'm having? Because what we usually see from the disability carrier is to say, your medical records are lacking supporting information. We don't see any complaints from you as to difficulty sitting for X period of time, difficulty driving, difficulty, carrying groceries, or that you're having to sleep for 3 hours a day, or you have side effects from your medication. All these different things are not in your records. But yet the client tells us as their lawyer, I'm having all of these problems. And the disability company says, we're looking at your records and we don't see anything. So to me, that's one of the biggest things is they say the medical records don't support your restrictions and limitations. So you've told them you got to do all these things, get it in there. So we educate the claimant needs to educate the doctor, and the doctor's reality is, like you said, they see 40 to 50 patients a day. And they, like I always say, they treat the patient, not the chart. And doctors build relationships with their claimants, and when they go in there and they see you and they say, hey Frank, how are you? And they basically remember you have a relationship with them. They don't need to put everything in there because they want to know, how do you feel today, Frank? Not how did you feel 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, what's going on today? How can I help you? But insurance companies eat that up. If it's not in the records, it doesn't exist. And guess what? No support, we're not going to pay you.
If it's not in the chart,
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
That's right.
And what do we do when we go to the doctor? We don't want to be sniveling, whining, complaining. Doctor says, Greg, how you doing today? I'm doing great. Patient reports feeling well.
Yeah, it's
You're
over.
like, wait a second. Patient doesn't report feeling well. He was trying
Right.
to be nice. Or person's orientated to the date, to the time, and to where they're at. So if somebody's got a cognitive problem, the thing you've got to have is some examples. I'll say to people, when was the last time you were in the garage with a knife? They're like, well, gee, Frank, I had my car keys in the freezer last week. Or the wife will be able to tell you 3 or 4 examples of cognitive difficulty. Or they're impaired from the medication. Medication can give some pretty significant side effects. All you need to do is look at the bottle. On the bottle, it'll tell you. A lot of our people have pain medication. So as we're looking at opiates, we're looking at gabapentin, we're looking at Neurontin, we're looking at lidoderm patches. Those things have significant cognitive side effects. And it's important your doctor understand those. It's not going to take the medications away. But the insurance company is going to look at the record and say, hey, Greg, you're taking these opiates, you're driving, you're taking your kids to school, you exchange money when you go to the gas station, you go to Costco, you're using a credit card. Those are things that someone impaired cognitively shouldn't be doing, whereas maybe you didn't take your medication before you took the kids to school because it did cause side effects. Or it's the same credit card that you've got at Costco and the favorite person that you see every time you go there. Got to eat. So these are things that I look at and try and help the insured prepare their doctor. Because remember, the insurance company wants to catch your doctor off guard. They want to call them unannounced.
Right.
They're going to call the insurance company doctor is going to call your doctor and hopefully catch him without the file. Instruct your doctor. Talk to your doctor about being prepared for that unannounced call so that he can say, no, I'll return the call to you at 5 o'clock or whatever's convenient when he's got the file in front of you.
Right.
So they do a really good job of that.
Well, I think we just scratched the surface on some of the top reasons why long-term disability claims are denied, and plus you gave some great tips here that people will definitely find helpful. And I know in our other videos we'll talk so many more about the nuances of why things get denied, and like, we could do a 20-minute video just on video surveillance and how to deal with those things and all these other issues. So really appreciate you being here and talking about this. If you're someone out there who has a long-term disability insurance claim, feel free to call Frank, myself. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we'll always provide you with an initial free phone consultation. Thank you.